There's a quick story about a husband and father who recently had to lay down the law with his wife about getting her act back together, performing her household duties after 2 years of her giving up to try to become a social media influencer. One of those. Where for 2 years she tried and tried and tried, but just simply couldn't do it. But the problem is she neglected all her household duties. Cooking, cleaning, bringing in any money, taking care of the kids. It was always a mess. And this guy worked full time, took care of everything, and then her stuff. And finally he said pretty much, you'd be much more useful cooking and cleaning. And of course she had a giant meltdown here. Let me go over here for you relationship guys that you must, I'm all for supporting your girl on all fronts as long as she's earned it, supportive and loving towards you. But the problem is if you're too kind and generous, that kindness can be taken for weakness, so you must be careful. And you have to reach the point that you lay down the law, enough's enough when things go too far. And of course, be very wary of gals that want to become social media influencers and become addicted to social media. It's not a good place to be. Titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that she would be infinitely more useful cooking and cleaning than chasing her dream? And a shout out to Adam for sending me this short story. He says, I'm 39 and my wife is 36 and we have 2 sons, 5 and 3 years old. 2 years ago, my wife approached me one day and told me that she was interested in making some money off of Instagram. I thought it was a fine idea, as she was home during the day and couldn't work because of our younger son was still too small. We are fortunate that I make enough money to support our lifestyle comfortably, and I encouraged her to go for it. So number one, he's supportive. Women can't give him shit about that. And 2, the reason he makes enough money to comfortably take care of them is because he's worked his tail off, smart and hard, to make that happen. Unfortunately, in the past 2 years, as a hopeful Instagram influencer, she's not made a single cent. Well, there's an effing surprise. Not everybody has it to become successful on social media or whatever. Her earlier attempts at gaining followers were for postpartum fitness, and since she knows nothing about fitness, that went nowhere. That makes no sense. She tried to make exercise guides where she would do these bizarre mobility movements, and these would only get a few views. Then she moved on to doing makeup tutorials, which similarly fell flat, likely because there are billions such channels out there. Then she jumped onto this slice of life train where she would make videos talking about her day, but to be frank, they were all pretty boring and she failed to attract any attention. So I'm going to stop there and say I'm all for anybody trying to make something of themselves, putting themselves out there online, social media, whatever, and trying to do that. I think that's very cool. But you can't shirk all your responsibilities and put on all someone else what you're about to see. You got to be smart about it. And obviously don't try to do something that has so much competition, When I started on YouTube, the first channel I did was a fitness channel, and that failed because there was too much competition. But I didn't stop doing work to pay the bills. Then I started the second channel, Strong Successful Male, about a year or so later, and that was a big success. But I still did personal training forever while I made the videos on the side. You don't just give up everything, which you're about to see she does. He says the issue isn't that she isn't trying. The issue is that she spends the overwhelmingly majority of her waking hours on Instagram and skirts her household responsibilities. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go for a run, come home, make breakfast for everyone, then make lunch for our older child and myself and take him to kindergarten. I go to work until 5 p.m., get home around 5:30, make dinner for everyone, wash most of the dishes, tidy up a bit, bathe our sons, play with them, and go to bed. Smack! For 2 years you're doing all that while she's effing around on Instagram? No. Not cool. She should do all her household duties, and then she has an extra hour or so or 2 hours a day to do that, then fine. But make sure also she's not ignoring your needs. She wakes up at 7:45 in the morning, usually later because she was up late on Instagram, lies down on the sofa as I do everything, and while I'm at work, she works on her Instagram more. Any attempt to get her to do something is met with complaining. Nope. 2 years of that crap? The other day I finally got fed up with her because I walked in the door to a complete disaster zone of things strewn everywhere. The laundry not done and the sink full of dirty dishes. I asked what she'd done all day, to which she responded, I was busy. I snapped at her and told her that the Instagram is going nowhere and I put up with it for 2 years longer than I should have, and that she would be infinitely more useful cooking and cleaning. That's sexist. You're darn right he has a right to say that. I mean, all this time he's been doing everything, he's been too fucking nice. And some people probably would think, oh, he should have said it differently, but at this point, he had enough. She got this horrified look on her face and walked away. She went to the bedroom, now she's looking at her phone and left me to deal with everything that night. Am I the a-hole for how I reacted to her? No. You've been anything but the a-hole for 2 years doing everything. She has done nothing but with her responsibilities. She's been a terrible teammate, and she's made no money doing this. And I get it takes time. And you try new things, all that. And sometimes it doesn't work. Some people are not meant to be, in the entertainment business. They just don't have it in terms of their personality or look, or they go for something that there's just too much competition, whatever, I respect her trying if in fact she was doing this, not something else. But I fear what's going to happen next is if she's remotely attractive, she's going to end up on OnlyFans. And even then, there's tons of competition, you know what I mean? But I just see this going pretty bad unless he really, beyond that, lays down the law with her. So he was way too nice and accommodating. He should have made it clear, I'm all for you doing this, but your regular responsibilities must be met. I can't do everything. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Now, some comments here. One guy says, there's a reason that these things usually are side hustles until they go big. It's hard to make it. Having no job, bringing in no income, and contributing nothing to the household is not a realistic way to be a good partner. You could have worded it better or been more tactful, sure, but I get how you would kind of snap at the moment, not the a-hole. Another one, not the a-hole. Even if she was making money, she'd be neglecting your kids and her whole job as a stay-at-home mom. You should have centered the conversation around that so she can be an influencer wannabe, but she could do her tasks. I'm sure with having the kids at kindergarten, she would still have the time to be an influencer. Many of them center their content around cleaning the house or prepping meals. Yeah, exactly. Do something that she has to cook meals. Okay, record herself doing that and tell the camera what she's doing. Or she's cleaning the house. I'm using this cleaner and doing that, whatever. But everybody wants to be an influencer. I've been on YouTube 4 years. I got 3 channels now, a respectable following amongst 3. I do very well financially, and I don't even consider myself to be an influencer. I would never say that. I've never once said about myself, and I never will say that about myself, because I immediately think douchebag. Another one, not the a-hole. Maybe the wording wasn't the best, but the sentiment behind it, that she's neglecting her responsibilities, is valid. It sounds like you're the third wheel in your own marriage, where her phone with the Instagram account is more important to her. Yeah, she's addicted to it. Be very careful she doesn't try turning her hand and video camera to mommy blogging, because that can easily turn exploitative, and she's looking for social media validation. Keyword, validation. She wants the attention and validation. So I hope this guy handles things right going forward and really is prepared to really lay down the law if necessary. But here you go, guys, why you can be generous and supportive of your girl, your wife, and everything, but don't let your kindness be taken for weakness. Otherwise, someone will take advantage of you. And these social media addicts that want to become stars and all that, it really can go to their head and become addicted to that. And you got to be careful there.